Hello and welcome back everybody to the Bladed Tech Show. This is day 2 out of who knows now. I said 8, now it's more like 10 days. Might have to revise on Twitter. But anyways, the second film we are reviewing of this extravaganza of movie reviews is The Finest Hours. So, let's start out with kind of my impressions of the film. It's an okay of a film. It's not great. Personally, I think I just wanted more than it was willing to give me. It just felt too hollow, like someone didn't develop the script enough, or it was developed too much, or it just felt very hollow. But yes, this is The Finest Hours. It is a romance slash disaster film that is directed by Craig Gillespie. A lot of you may not be familiar with that name. He directed $1 Million Arm a year or two ago. So that might be where you know him from. There's that movie with John Hamm where he made a baseball team in like India or something like that. And your leads are Casey Affleck, Chris Pine, and Holliday Grainger. Hope I said her name right. And it came out just 2 days ago, as of this recording. 3 days ago, as of this publishing. But the premise is Bernie Webber's rescue of the oil tankers SS Pendleton's crew, and kind of that true story behind that on February 18th, 1954. The acting, I don't know. Everyone did a fine job. Eric Bana was kind of miscast. I felt like he was just there to stand around and talk like this. Alright. Okay. Just do that the entire movie and just kind of be the general enemy of this movie. Just to give a sense of an enemy in the movie. Somebody that did, two people who did do a great job, are Casey Affleck. He really shines here. He's really picked up his, acting from Ben Affleck. And there's another person in here. Let me see if I can find him. But he was also in, While We're Young, which I will also be reviewing later this week. Matthew Mayer, that's him. And he plays this kind of guy who has kind of a grudge against Bernie Webber because of something that happened in the past. You can probably guess what it is, but I won't say it. He really sold me on how he can kind of diversify himself as an actor. And while we're young, I won't spoil too much for that review. But he killed it. In While We're Young, he plays this film editor for Ben Stiller's character, and he just comes off as kind of sheepish but powerful. And I am afraid a little bit he's getting typecast, but that's beside the point. Casey Affleck, one of the main leads, he does a really good job. Like I said, I think he really picked up on some of the notes he's seen of Ben Affleck's earlier days before he was Batman, or before he was in that Kevin Smith movie that I forget the name of. I think he was in Dazed and Confused. I don't know. I can't remember. And Chris Pine, he tries his best in this movie. He really tries his best, but it just isn't enough for this movie. He tried to put on a thick Massachusetts accent, and it just doesn't work. It really doesn't. It just sounds out of place, like he's trying too hard. But some of the techniques in this movie, I think would have preferred a guerrilla type shoot where there's a little bit of shaky cam implemented in there, or just kind of like a man on the street kind of vibe where it's constantly moving instead of, because what the film options for are these really wide shots of hallways and rooms and things like that. It's just option for those wide shots, and then when they're out on sea, they do these sweeping shots across the bow, and then sometimes they'll do really close-ups of the characters reacting to bad news or good news, and I think it's a little bit overdone here, because it just, I don't know, maybe I'm expecting too much of this movie, but I really do think that they could have benefited from some kind of man on the street, kind of one guy with a handy cam just being like, alright, let's get right in there and shoot right in there. And they have some of those shots, but not as often as I would have liked. Maybe even just brainstorming here. Maybe even some POV shots of Bernie Weber looking out into the bar, which is something that they have to face in this movie, and that would have been just, or because they do all these like really, oh, are they gonna make it shots, and I'm just like, I could have done without that, you know. The music in this film is, you know what they say about music in films, or any kind of score or soundtrack or whatever. If you do not notice it, then the music director did a good job. Or rather, the musician did a good job. And I didn't notice it all that much. Now, there are a few exceptions where I did get kind of pulled out of it. It was like, bum, bum, ba, da, da. Kind of, sort of like that vibe, like just the sweeping, kind of crescendo kind of music. I don't like that kind of music, and it kind of pulls me out of films. And let's get to the script. Even though this is kind of based on a true story, kind of, and I say that because it feels like parts of the film, like the Eric Bana character, are kind of made up. Like there's this conflict that wasn't there in real life that is there in this movie, and I just don't think that they made the right decision here. I think if I'm remembering right, that this movie has three writers on it. Let me make sure though, before I tear it to pieces. Yeah, it was by 2 people. Screenplay by 3 people, story by 2 people. So the screenplay was by Scott Silver, Paul Tomasi, and Eric Johnson. So that's your first sign that your script is bad, when you have 3 people working on it. That's when you know you just shat the bed. But because it just feels disjointed and made up sometimes, and I'm just like, this isn't. If you're gonna make a true story film, even if you're Disney, who is known for kind of straying off that little path that's sort of expertly weaved, I just think this was an overall weak script, and any actor couldn't have made it better for me. Although Casey Affleck was pretty entertaining, and somebody I won't talk about because I don't want to spoil the Flash. Watch my Flash Season 2 review whenever Flash Season 2 is over. And then the themes. Okay, so the idea of hope and love is nothing new in a disaster film. We've seen that in countless movies, but Titanic does it better. I think Titanic is the perfect example here. It was set on a boat. Now, it was about 2 lovers, and about how they would give up the world for each other. And while that was more about the love aspect than the disaster, this kind of had to be more 80-20 with that. This kind of had to be 80% hope about, okay, can we find this vessel? Okay, now can we get there? and then 20% is that love part where it's like, all right, we got to make sure that the audiences care about this person he loves and all that. But I think that's kind of another movie for me. I think they could have just cut some of that out. If they needed to keep it in, I would have been okay with just cutting a little bit of those long shots where they're just like at the beginning of the movie. Chris Pine's character is freaking out because he's been talking to Holiday Granger's character, Miriam, over the phone for the past few weeks, and now she wants to meet and have a date and all that fun stuff. And he's freaking out because he's like, did I wear the wrong clothes? Am I not the right guy for her? You know? And they do that for, I want to say 2 minutes. The opening 2 minutes. It's just him just like, alright, did I wear the right shirt? No. And then after he gets out of the car, it's just like, should have wore the other shirt. And then he gets out and just, I feel like they could have cut a lot of that out. And just I would have still cared, because there's this entire thing in the second act, where she's just like, oh, my car broke down, I guess I'm staying with this family for a while, and it just falls apart. That's the point where the movie just falls apart for me. I mean, it fell apart a little earlier, if I'm going to be honest, but, I mean, that's the point where it just went. But in conclusion, the reasoning for these harsh words were not because I, hate the film or had some kind of agenda, but I have, higher expectations of Disney and all the actors in this piece. However, I just think that the script's themes and techniques shown within is somewhat more of what I expect of a movie from the 1990s, not 2016. So if you liked that review, go ahead and click that like button if you didn't dislike it. But I encourage you, please leave some constructive criticisms down in the comments below. Hey, if you saw this film, 2D, 3D, I didn't see it in 3D, and if you saw it on Alamo Drafthouse, like me, what did you think of it? I can't review the Drafthouse part of it because that's kind of a specialized thing, but they should like Popeye cartoons about the how he's a lifeguard and lots of like stuff from the 50s about the water and stuff like that. But anyways, let me know your experience with The Finest Hours, if you're planning to watch it, if you've watched it, if you're not planning to watch it, why you're not going to watch it, and if you want to see all my other movie reviews coming up in the next few days, be sure to keep subscribed here, and I will, there will be a notification that pops up if you have the YouTube app, and you'll also get an email, which is very annoying. If I push notifications, just default to push notifications if I've got it signed up. But that will do it for us today, and until we review another movie, or until I review another movie, that is it.